A very big welcome to everyone as we approach the end of the UK's first ever Race Equality Week. I'm Raj Tulsiani, and today I'll be wearing two hats. I'll be chairing the event as a co-founder of Race Equality Matters, and I'm also the Chief Executive of Green Park. Before we start, during the event, if you have any questions or you'd like to make a comment, please do put them in the chat. Please feel free to tweet and post social media during the event. Our handles are at the bottom of the slide. We will be recording this event for you to access and share later as a slide deck, as well as a slide deck. Unfortunately, due to the excellent speakers we've got lined up, we're not going to have time for Q&A on this occasion. But for those of you who've been taking part in the week and all the online panels, hopefully you've got your questions asked then. So over the next action-packed 30 minutes, you'll hear from some of the highlights of the week with our very special guest speakers from British Telecom, Network Rail and Beazley. You'll also hear about some of our plans for the coming year from my co-founder, Javed Thomas. And most importantly, you'll get the date for Race Equality Week in 2022. I'd like to spend a minute to acknowledge our sponsors, not just Green Park, but also British Telecom and some of these other fantastic companies and minority-owned businesses that have helped us not just find out where these real problems are, but create meaningful pathways for action that organizations that are small, large, early in their journey or lost in their journey can get back on track to create an environment for more trust around race in the workplace. I'd also like to mention some of those organizations that said it couldn't be done. I'm hoping there's some of you there and on the call. And for those of you who wouldn't come on board or didn't think it could be done, the door's open. We're absolutely committed to collaboration. It's never too late to make a difference. So first, some stats. So from the week itself, here's some of the things we found out. Unfortunately, only 7% believe their organization's activities are making a real impact for race equality. Next slide, please. Sadly, this is what normal looks like. 40% said there's been no change to race equality or it's got worse since the summer. Now, if you look at that in the context, not just of all the time, effort and performative narratives that we're hearing about organizations saying this is a genuine board level issue, and in the context of this week's Green Park Business Index that showed no Black chief executives, CFOs, or chairs for the first time in 6 years. So on one level, of course, we're all hearing that the will to increase racial equality and representation at senior levels is happening or has increased, but the statistics and what we've seen from this week is that the skill to do that has not increased. So a big part of what we need to do is increase that skill and co-create solutions in our organizations. 73% of the people involved in the week, and that's over 2,000 companies that took part, said they feel their leaders and managers are not comfortable talking about race. That's within our context to change. So this cartoon was done a few days ago when it was 1,850 companies. And I think it says a few things that many of us have thought. There's nothing wrong with charters, and a great shout out to Carl George at the Governance Forum in Birmingham for the fantastic race charter he's done, bringing together many separate charters into a kind of a workable plan of action. So thank you for that, Carl, and thank you for support during the week and before. So many of us have heard the commitments and the words, and we're trying to get to meaningful action. Most recently, we've seen this week Reuters talking about the BITC charter and how 14 British banks simply have refused to provide the information that was requested in that charter. It's really important why our co-creation of ideas, our collaboration with other organizations drives more transparency and accountability in the organization. We got into this for meaningful action, and we're not trying to boil the ocean. We're just looking at workplace equality, and you're going to hear from some real experts and campaigners in the near future from us. I'm now delighted to hand over to my co-founder, Javed Thomas, who will share some of the highlights of the week.
Thank you, Raj, and hello, everyone. So how did Race Equality Week go? Well, we're going to share some of the key highlights from a wonderful week. So 2,000 plus organisations got involved. That's different organisations across the country and some abroad as well. This includes accessing our safe space and Big Promise free toolkits. And as Raj says, to show you how to do it. And we've had some workshops. All these have been co-created with those with lived experience. Next slide, please. So here's just some examples of organizations and people making their big promises. And the theme this year was transparency and accountability. And by being public about it, that's the start. So organizations signing charters, absolutely, but we need everyone as an individual to make a commitment. So fantastic. And thank you to all those organizations that got involved in the big promise, and you can carry on doing it going forward. Okay, next slide, please. A couple of quick videos.
Hello. Behind the mask, I'm Ros Norman, Chair of Unison's Health Service Group Executive, and I promise you that I will challenge and speak out whenever I encounter any racism.
Hi, my name is Bill Acharji. Race Equality Week matters, and my pledge is to continue supporting Black members who experience racism within the workplace and society.
So that's fantastic. Just quick, simple examples. People being transparent, accountable, and using the big promise in a very proactive way. So very easy to do. So next one, we had, there's been fantastic thought leadership events across the country focused on solutions. Some hosted by ourselves, Race Equality Matters, and others by the Governance Forum and Carl George, Oxford Brookes University, thank you, Lydia, the Data and Marketing Association, DPAC, and ICANN, which Rob was behind. These events, next slide, were attended by more than 1,000 organizations. So, and 91%, sorry, in our event, The Power of Data to Tackle Race Inequality, 74% rated the quality of the content presented by our speakers, which included Flair, BT, and Network Rail, as very good or excellent to help tackle race equality, not just speaking, but to help organizations tackle race inequality. 97% fed back saying having data will help their race networks make a greater impact. And 65% were interested in Flair's anti-racist data tools. So people heard stuff that will help them tackle race inequality across the organization, but data being at the heart of it. 100% recommended the event, and said actually 58% would recommend their leaders have gone to the event. It is available, so we can share it after that. So you can see the focus is on solutions that make an impact and not a talking shop about the problems. We've done this far too long. So to hear more about Race Equality Week, let's hear from our first speaker. I'm delighted to introduce Lorraine Martins, Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Network Rail. Lorraine leads a centre of expertise which supports Network Rail's ambition to be more open, diverse and an inclusive business for its 39,000 plus employees. Lorraine was awarded an OB in 2021, this year, for her work to improve diversity throughout Network Rail, and previously led an award-winning team for the Olympic Park for London 2012. Lorraine, in 3 minutes, you know the rules. How was Race Equality Week for Network Rail and your colleagues?
Thank you, Javed, and thank you, Raj. I'd want to start off by saying congratulations on initiating and facilitating the first ever Race Equality Week. I think it's been a fabulous week, and that comment doesn't detract from my 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. The next comment, really, I wanted to say, I'm just incredibly proud of my team, of Cultural Fusion, our employee network, and all of my colleagues at Network Rail who have been absolutely fantastic in all of their efforts and have really embraced Race Equality Week, and you'll hear now from all the things that we've done. So internally, we facilitated a webinar on microaggressions, white privilege, and how to challenge non-inclusive behaviours. It was attended by over 200 participants with over 250 comments, really great engagement. We recorded the event so that people could access it post the session, and it's been watched by our Chief Executive. Cultural Fusion, our employee network, held a virtual tea break, which was on the topic of, are my language skills hindering my career? So many of you will know that some of the ways in which institutional racism manifests itself is talking about, oh, I can't understand what you're saying. And so we had a look at what that meant and the extent to which it's actually our issue, or whether or not people are not listening intently enough or making sufficient effort. So we're looking at developing a toolkit to support the safe space and Big Promise. Our chief exec and our group HR director announced the week, and everybody's had kind of screensavers and backgrounds in their events. Lots of interaction on Yammer, which is our internal social media site. Scotland ran an industry workshop on talking about race. One of our functions, Root Services, ran an unconscious bias seminar. 700 people attended. We published our ethnicity, our second ethnicity pay gap report, and our gender pay gap report, and we've done a bit on intersectionality, which we're proud of. We've got some challenges, so I'm not complacent, but I think the feedback you got from your first session about the data, we're really proud of the data that we produce. And we've just published today an internal podcast on our Race Matters program, which is updating on the progress. Externally, as I said, we've done our pay gap reports. Cultural Fusion and Lily Kitchener in my team did the Power of Data session, which you talked about on Monday. We did a session with GTR on their Race Equality Network, as well as with HS2 and their Race Equality Network, which was attended by their chief executive. And in terms of the media, every day we publish something on all of our different formats. So on Monday, Change the Game, which was on all of our channels, which is our Black History Month film. Tuesday, we had our one of our engineering graduates, Ade, share a video with questions and answers. Cultural Fusion had an editorial feature on our web, so you can see all of that, I think, if you go onto LinkedIn. Thursday, our Director of Engineering and Asset Manager, Kamini Edgley, did a video and question and answer article, which was really, really fantastic. And today we published another video with a finance graduate, Olivia. So really a lot of activity, really high levels of engagement. And if I just share with you some of the comments that we've had as a consequence of the week, really great to see this being discussed in various spaces across the business. My favorite was our IT department thinking about changing their language, including the use of blacklists. It's been really exciting to know that the issue and the discussion of race equality is being kept alive, and an effective way of perpetuating the awareness of future generations to come. It being recognised is central to our social life as well, and as a requirement for hope and change. Loving the daily Yammer posts on race equality. Excellent collaboration with our train operating companies throughout the week. The first ever Race Equality Week, and with Network Rail participating, shows it's taking seriously. And as a Black woman in this organisation, it can only fill me with hope that we can turn the talk into positive action. And then finally, Race Equality Week has been a great stride forward in giving colleagues at Network Rail a platform for people to share their experiences, and importantly for people to know that we are taking it seriously. So I think I'm within my time schedule, but hopefully that's a really good snapshot of the things that we've done. And we're really, really pleased to be participating, and look forward to hearing what the date is for next year. Back to you, Javed.
It's next week, Lorraine.
Well, we're ready whenever it is.
I think when we started this, that's fantastic. We said let's give it a go, and you know, Network Rail have done more than give it a go. Fantastic. But what's more important? The activity is really important, but what's crucial is the impact. And I think the feedback from your colleagues is absolutely crucial. And it's always what are people really saying? So thank you for that. On to our next special guest, Rob Anarfi from Beazley. He's been insurance there for 6 years, and he's the global head of compliance. He's a senior sponsor for Race at Beazley, the group's network focused on race and ethnicity, and he's been at the heart of ICANN, the insurance sector cultural network. His exciting plan to tackle race inequality in the insurance sector going forward. So Rob, in your 3 minutes, how was Race Equality Week, and what are your plans for the sector going forward? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much, Javed. So I'm going to try really hard to stick within 3 minutes. But firstly, really quick clarification. I think it's really important. I am a founding member of ICANN from years ago, but I was not behind the Race Equality Week event, which was fantastic yesterday, and Raj was a panelist. I moderated it. So a big thanks. I'll come back to ICANN shortly. So what I want to do is not actually talk about Beazley, which is my employer, but actually talk about the insurance industry. And the main message, before I get into detail, that I really would hope people would go away from other industries and be inspired by is working together. And Raj mentioned that. I think it's critical. We have an industry that suffers from a bit of lack of trust, and is certainly not an industry that is seen as sexy that graduates and in particular diverse talent want to come and work in. So firstly, we have a festival that's been going since about 2015 called Dive In. It happens across 35 countries, normally has about 30,000 attendees, and it's all really about inclusivity within the sector globally. And I would just inspire anybody from any other industry to have a look at that. You can find out a lot about Dive In if you look online. ICANN, as I say, is an industry-wide network, essentially. Cuts across, so it cuts across all races, all ethnicities, but from time to time focuses on a particular ethnicity. And you won't be surprised to hear Black people and the issues that we face within our sector, but just socially and globally is a point of focus. And as you mentioned, Javed, we had a really good event yesterday, and really the point of that event was to get across to the participants two core things. One, it is great that most people in our sector have now signed up to a lot of charters and doing a lot of work in that sense. But it's still obvious when you look at our industry that there is a lack of action that will really lead to different outcomes. And so what we were encouraging people to do is to try and avoid us just preaching to each other all the time. And I'll say the same thing as I said yesterday. There are 160 odd people on this call. I always ask myself, are those people who are already converted, are they people that already understand the struggle, or are they people that need to hear the messages that we are sharing as a panel? So we were saying to people to move the industry forward, go and repeat what you hear to the people that matter in your organizations. And the next time you come to an event, bring them with you. The final thing I'm going to touch on is a new initiative, which I can't say too much about because it's not fully launched. But what we've decided as an industry is we're doing all of these good things, but actually the people that can really influence true change are the most senior people, the chairs, the CEOs. And so they need influencing, and we need them to take accountability of this issue. If you're a person of color, if you're a person with an ethnic background in our industry, we've been getting across the message, the problem is not you and it's not yours. Yes, you need to be involved to help find the solution, but the people who are accountable are the people at the very top. So a few of us who are relatively senior leaders in the industry of color have come together to form an organization, and we're recruiting chairs and CEOs who we're going to hold accountable, and we're going to be asking them to hold each other accountable. And we're trying to learn from a number of initiatives which we believe have made a difference. And so we're looking for them to commit to doing certain things, to publicize those things, and to hold them to account for doing them, and for them to hold each other to account. So Javed, I will stop there just as a kind of a counter through what we're trying to do in the insurance industry.
That's brilliant, Rob. And the reason we invited Rob to speak was literally because of that. And we think, we'd like to challenge all sectors to follow that lead. We need the top involved. So thank you for sharing, Rob. And if anyone wants to know more about it, or get in touch with us and or Rob. So our final speaker is Cordelia Oscar, Group D&I Lead at BT. Please unmute yourself, Cordelia. Thank you. Cordelia has a wealth of experience, including designing and delivering leadership programs for London's Metropolitan Police Service and the National Grid. She's also led policy reviews for Tesco's, the Ministry of Justice, Clarks and Intermart. So Cordelia, as the line goes, in 3 minutes, how was Race Equality Week for BT and your colleagues? Thank you, Cordelia.
Thank you very much, Javed. So it's been a really positive week. We've had our colleagues in the US celebrating Black History Month, and with all the celebration about Race Equality Week in the UK, it's helped us refocus our attention on race and ethnicity. You might be aware that we launched our Ethnicity Rapid Action Plan last year with 4 commitments to actually galvanize the business to make ethnic diversity something that we celebrate and we actually take tangible steps to make a reality. So we're really proud of what we achieved this week, but we're even proud of what we were doing before around ethnicity. We've encouraged our colleagues to talk more candidly about some of the challenges they're facing in the workplace. And our ethnic diversity network in the US and the UK have been central to this. So before I go any further, I just want to say massive thanks to both networks in the US and the UK. We recognize that actually these are volunteers working to just celebrate ethnic diversity and to make sure that we become more inclusive. So we really appreciate the efforts that they deliver daily for us. We've had quite a lot of sessions across the business to celebrate Race Equality Week. And I think one of the highlights was having John Amaechi coming to have a candid talk about the issues that we might be facing in society around ethnicity and racism, particularly. And the talk was delivered with our group D&I diversity director, Jackie. And the feedback we got from colleagues across the business that it was really enlightening and it was refreshing to have such a candid conversation in the workplace where we explored what it means to talk about microaggressions, what it means to be a minority in the workplace. And we're encouraging those kind of candid conversations because we realize that it's not something that can be delivered overnight. It needs to have everyone working together. But I just want to mention, Javed, that as much as we are always talking about race and ethnicity in the workplace and getting our colleagues to talk about this, we really need senior leadership support, and we're very proud of our senior leaders at BT. One of the things that's made this front and center of everything we do is that we've had overwhelming support from our EXCO members, and they're very, very visible in some of the initiatives that we've delivered over the week. We've had several comments come through from our colleagues, and we've highlighted a few quotes there, and it just shows how we're looking at issues that go beyond just ethnicity and looking at issues maybe around intersectionality and what it means to be a Black woman, what it means to be a disabled Black woman or an Asian woman who is also wearing a hijab in the workplace. So I'm just going to highlight some of the comments that have been made there, specifically the one about psychological safety. So we have run a reverse mentoring program at BT, and one of the emphasis there has been on psychological safety. And it's very important that as we're talking more and more about ethnicity and about race, we encourage our colleagues to feel safer in the environment that they work in. So what next for us? We're looking at how we can make sure that our commitments under our Ethnicity Rapid Action Plan are delivered. People feel much more safer in the workplace talking and asking questions about race and ethnicity. So we look forward to working with you around safe spaces and making sure that the conversation is not something that ends today. There's no magic pill. Unconscious bias training is not a magic pill for curing prejudice and racism. So we know that there's more work that needs to be done to enhance the whole colleague experience. So we're looking forward to more work around this area. Thank you, Javed.
Brilliant. Thank you, Cordelia. And like BT said, it's keeping the conversation going and facilitating uncomfortable conversation, which is really important, and not just parking it. We've done it, move on. So that's fantastic. So I'm delighted the support of BT. So okay, hopefully we shared some of the fantastic action that organizations were doing during Race Equality Week. So we just want to do a quick poll. It takes about a minute. So if everyone can feed into us, so it'll help us for the future. Thank you. I think it's about 4 questions. Okay, so just quick things. Did your organization participate? So 73% did, and it's great to have sort of 20% trying to find out more. Fantastic. Do you think Race Equality Week helped to make a positive impact on tackling race inequality in your organization? 58% said yes, which is again a good start. And we know it's a tight turnaround. Would you recommend it? 98%. So fantastic. Will your organizations participate in Race Equality Week 2022? If there is one, 74%. So thank you for that. Okay. So next slide, please. So I said Race Equality is a week, so we've got some exciting plans for Race Equality Matters going forward. So we know lots of organizations, hundreds of organizations have downloaded the Safe Space and the Big Promise. So we're going to support these organizations to deliver it. We've done some workshops and there's more in the pipeline. We're also developing new solutions and concepts. So we hear what people are saying and then we do sort of like co-create to make it work. Next slide, please. So one of the ones we're delighted to talk about is from one of our events about digital. 76% of respondents said they would likely or very likely to run a solution or concept that Network Rail shared that is really making the impact. So that's 76%. So we're looking to collaborate with Network Rail and hopefully come up with an additional concept to help tackle race inequality alongside Big Promise, Safe Space. So watch this space. Next slide, please, Nish. Thank you.
It's normal for ethnic minority children to experience microaggressions and racism on the playground. And it's normal for ethnic minority employees to experience microaggressions and racism at the workplace. Well, let's not go back to normal. We need change. And this can't be driven by ethnic minority communities on its own. We need allies to proactively promote anti-racist behaviours and practices. So join me and a host of experts on BT Sport Race Inequality Matters as we challenge what is normal and how together we can impact change.
%33% of Premier League players are from an ethnic minority background. Yet it is normal for there to be no black Premier League football managers and normal to have no black board members in sport or any other corporate sectors. Let's not go back to normal. Now is the time for meaningful action that will affect real change for race equality, from grassroots level to the very top. Join me and a panel of experts with BT Sports and Race Equality Matters as we challenge what is normal and explore ways we can impact real change.
So you'll be hearing soon about an exciting panel event we're doing with BT Sport and including Anton and Ugo. So watch your space. Next slide, please. We were at an ICANN event yesterday and Gabrielle said a fantastic thing. Race Equality Week has never been more important than the year of 2021. Whilst parents at home schooling, they have a direct impact on what type of message they want to leave their children with. It's a great opportunity for change. So it's got into schools, you know, fantastic for that. And I think we have, hold our hands up, Mr. Trick, maybe we could have done some education for us, our children, but fantastic what Gabriel said that. So with his feedback and everyone else's, it's inspired us to start planning for 2022. So drum roll, please. So Race Equality Week 2022 will be 4th to the 10th of February. So get it in your diary now. So this time there's no excuse. We haven't got time to plan. You've got a whole year. So thank you. So that's it from me. Thank you everyone for fantastic support and contribution, and I'll hand you back to Raj.
So thank you all for attending. Thank you for those of you who've been campaigning for fairness and equality for a while. Thank you for the allies who are trying to help us make a meaningful, sustainable, non-tokenistic change. We know it's not going to happen overnight, but we also know that the time for corporates being able to just say that they're doing something and amplify their future aspirations as opposed to taking real action and co-created transparent accountability of those actions is past. So we can go back to normal. I think we shouldn't go back to normal. It wasn't that great for us. I'd like to thank BT and Green Park, particularly the Green Park Diversity and Inclusion Consultancy Practice for their help. Also Anthony, Nish, Javed, couldn't have done this without you. Today, good to hear Cordelia and Rob and as ever, Lorraine, you know, doyen of the D&I industry. Thank you for making the time, and the feedback on what Network of Rail have done has been fantastic. So I'm going to leave you now and just tell you, we're really delighted that we're able to give free services to 2,000 plus organizations. But we are a not-for-profit. So we need to continue doing our work. We need to continue hopefully making that free for individuals. But if you are with an organization who has a budget, who's looking to do something meaningful in this space, then please do put them in touch with Javed or his team, because we need funding partners. We want to get this to 1 million people this time in 2 years' time. So that's 10,000 companies, and today we're at 2,000. So we need the investment, not just to get those companies on board, but to hold them accountable for their promises. Thank you very much. We all appreciate your support, and we all wish you a safe movement forward on this shared topic that we all feel very passionately about. Thank you.